Hello, team. Sorry, I am slightly late. I've been having technical crises upon crises upon crises tonight. So I apologize that this is 15 minutes later starting than I would have liked. But we are here now. This is obviously being recorded, everyone to watch back. And will be on the podcast, etc., in the next sort of 24 hours or so. But I am going to kick off because this is probably the one of the most requested topics to cover off in terms of webinar content. It's one that comes up time and time again, and it's one that I know you guys are going to find super, super beneficial. If I just hit present on this. So obviously it is coming up to that time of year when people are going to be going on holiday. Before I do anything, this is live streaming, so it's recording, we're all good. So yes, it's coming up to time that everybody is going to be going on holiday. I know a lot of you guys have got holidays planned over the next couple of months. So I wanted to do a bit of a guide on how to approach a holiday. Obviously, everyone is different, everyone is unique, and everyone will have their own way they want to approach this, and we will deal with that individually. But this is a really good overview of some of the different things to consider and some things that I will undoubtedly be talking to you all about when you have holidays. So let us kick off. I have broken this down into the various parts of going on holiday. Move my head out the way. So before you go, in reality, the way we approach a holiday starts quite a bit before we actually get on the plane. The first thing to say, and what is really, really important, is you don't need to diet to go on holiday. I know that for years, many of you will have approached going on holiday with the view that you must get in beach body shape, you must get yourself beach body ready, you must get yourself ready to get into a bikini physically. And I have done it where I've dieted before I've gone on holiday. I have done it where I've not dieted before I've gone on holiday. And in reality, it makes very little difference to how I actually feel when I'm there. Speaking very honestly, if I think back, this year was slightly different, but a few years ago I dieted to go on holiday, and it actually left me feeling more unconfident in my body because I had spent so long picking it apart while I was dieting, admittedly not particularly healthily. Whereas when I don't diet to go on holiday, often I feel better. I see this with clients as well. Clients who don't diet to go on holiday, but focus on health before they go, actually feel more confident and feel more comfortable in their body. But ultimately, it's up to you, and it's about how you approach that diet. If you do choose to diet to go on holiday, which is absolutely fine and something that a lot of people do, and something I don't discourage if it's right for you, the worst thing you can do, the absolute worst thing you can do, is push super, super, super hard in the week before your holiday. Obviously, if you're dieting for something, you're going to have to kind of push, you're going to have to nudge things. And if you've got a deadline, you may have to take things a little bit more into more of a deficit. You may have to do a bit more cardio, etc., in order to get into the shape you want to be in. But I really advise against pushing super, super hard in that week before you go. Because what happens is you push super hard, you get quite extreme into the deficit, you are really, really taking yourself to an extreme, you're pushing yourself beyond what's a sort of sustainable diet. You start to fall into that slightly more aggressive crash diet. And you then get to the airport, you walk through that duty free, there's M&Ms and Toblerones everywhere, you end up in the bar, the fuck it button gets well and truly pushed, and that's it. And you end up actually in a worse position. You end up in a position where you can't maintain your progress as well as a result of having pushed so hard. It's far better to be a little bit slower, to potentially diet hard, and then for the week before you go away, pulling yourself back out of that deficit gently to leave you in a better position when you get on holiday. It helps your relationship with food, which ultimately helps your progress. The next thing I wanted to say was a little bit about the clothes that you wear to go on holiday when you're doing your packing, how to think about that. Bringing clothes that actually make you feel good is really important. I think a lot of people at the moment, particularly, were going on holiday maybe for the first time since the pandemic, definitely was for me anyway. And as a result, you're getting out clothes, and so if you're going on a beach holiday particularly, you're getting out clothes that you maybe haven't worn for 2-3 years, and your body might be different. And I think it's important to remember that the human body, and particularly the female body, changes a lot throughout the course of your life. The body that you had when you were 20 will not be the body you have when you're 30, which will not be the body you have when you're 40, and so on and so on. The human body changes, the female body changes as a result of hormonal fluctuations, life, global pandemics, etc., etc. So make sure that the clothes that you bring reflect the body you have now, not the body you wish you had now, or the body that you used to have a few years ago. Because ultimately, there is nothing worse than ending up in a bikini that's really uncomfortable, it doesn't fit well, that you're fidgeting around in, or doing what I did. I'll be very honest, when I went on holiday in March, I packed a pair of shorts that I hadn't worn for about a year, probably, maybe 8 months, and I'd gained a bit of body fat in that time. I'll say it's muscle as well, there's a bit of muscle in there, but I'd gained some body fat. These shorts were big last year, and they were pretty snug when I put them on when I was on holiday, to the point that I couldn't wear them, and I ended up just staying in the suitcase. So because I knew I'd feel uncomfortable, I knew I wouldn't want to sit down in them. Actually, I bought a few new bits that fitted me really well, that left me feeling really confident in my body. And actually, I didn't care that those shorts didn't fit, because I was wearing things that felt good. So make sure that when you go away, you bring clothes that make you feel good and that don't reflect a body you don't have. There is no point. It will just make you feel crap about yourself, and it will make you feel more unconfident. And when it comes to maintaining your progress while you're away, it will have a big impact. One that I think is really important as well is practicing spending a bit of time in less clothing. This sounds really silly and this sounds a bit weird, but at the moment we've been used to wearing jeans and boots and jumpers and trousers and clothes that cover our bodies up a lot. And we don't spend that much time in a bikini in day-to-day life. It's when you're on holiday and you're walking around essentially in a bra and pants, it's a weird thing to do. And your body is suddenly very, very visible to you and to other people. So it can be really helpful to spend a bit of time practicing being in a bit less clothing, whether that's wearing your sports bra to train in rather than a big baggy t-shirt, whether that's maybe wearing a strappy top out for a meal rather than a longer sleeve shirt. Maybe that's just genuinely putting a bikini on and walking around the bedroom for 5 minutes. It sounds really weird, but it's really good practice to get into the habit of having slightly less clothes on and being okay with your body in that situation. So you don't get the shock when you're away of suddenly having to do it. I didn't put it on here, but I would also highly, highly recommend getting if you are going away and you feel a bit self-conscious and you're like me and like Casper the Friendly Ghost, get a spray tan before you go. Your body will feel a lot better and you will feel a lot more confident if you feel like you look like the other ladies around the pool, and they've all been there for a few days and they all look super, super tanned. So getting a spray tan is a good practice to get into as well. Something that I enjoy anyway. The next one, and this is a really important thing to figure out before you go, is what are your priorities while you're away? Everybody has different things that matter to them. We did the webinar a while back now around understanding your values and what's important to you. And this is kind of linked to that. While you're away, is your priority, are you going somewhere where you're going to have insanely good food and you want to just enjoy the food? You want to go out to Michelin-star restaurants. You want to go and eat really great street food. You want to enjoy delicious burgers and all those sorts of things. Is that your priority for your holiday? Is your priority to get absolutely battered every night? Are you going on holiday to go out to a nightclub in the evening and then to sleep in until lunchtime and then lie on the sunrise drinking beer and then do it all again the next day? That's fine too, but is that your priority? Is your priority to spend time with your family? Is it about spending time with your partner, with your friends, with your family? Is it about the social aspect? Is it about the people that you're with? Or is it about prioritizing your physique, prioritizing your health? And I think in reality, for a lot of people, it's kind of a balance of the four. And if that's the case, then the important thing is to be sensible. The important thing is to make sure that you are thinking, when you're eating something, is this actually in line with my values? Or actually, by doing this, am I putting another one of my values out of whack? Is having that third cocktail at 2 PM at the all-inclusive actually in line with my values? Or actually, is it not? I think understanding what your priorities are and what's important to you is so important for your holiday. For a lot of us right now, I think a big part of the holiday is around relaxing and spending time with loved ones. And if that's the case, having the third portion at the buffet isn't in line with your values. So really getting clear on why you're going on holiday, what the things are that matter to you, is going to be a big theme throughout the whole of this presentation, to be honest. Next up, whilst we are traveling. So travel is, it depends how far you're going, right? If you've got a night flight or a long haul flight, it's a bit different if you've got a quick hop across the channel. But there are some themes that I think are important. The first one is don't go nuts at the airport. I don't know what it is about Brits. It's a British thing because I've never encountered it anywhere else. But when we get to an airport, we like to go straight to a Wetherspoons. It seems to be a big thing. I know the airport is the beginning of your holiday, and I don't want people to approach a holiday and dread the airport or think it's going to be really crappy. You want to make it fun and enjoyable. But you also don't need to go, fuck it, I'm on holiday now, so I'm going to have 6 pints and a fry up and a double cheeseburger and grab a Toblerone for the plane. Be sensible. Treat the airport like you would anywhere else. Make sensible food choices. Don't go nuts just because you're at the airport. I also would say, get organised. Having been on planes with, well, no, I've never been on a plane with good food, let's be honest. You don't want to get yourself trapped on an airplane for a couple of hours at the least, or 9, 10, 12 potentially at the most, with grotty food and no other options. So go and grab yourself some snacks. Go and grab yourself some things that you know are going to fill you up, that are going to leave you feeling good, that you can digest well. So you don't have to rely on those like tin foil covered trays of food or the EasyJet paninis. Get yourself something that's going to work for you, and get a bit organized. And also grab yourself some water. They never provide enough water on planes, and it really irritates me. So grab yourself a big bottle of water at the airport, and take it through. I think at some airports you can even bring through, I don't think I've done it myself, but I think you can bring through a flask and then fill it up at the airport. So you could even do that, but make sure that you have some water on the plane, you bring some water onto the plane with you, because staying hydrated is really important. When we're at altitude, it has a ridiculous effect on our bodies, and being mindful and aware of this is going to be really important. First of all, we all know that when you're on a plane, your skin really dries out. That's because of the air conditioning on the plane. So staying hydrated is really important, because it is really dehydrating when you're up there. But also because of the changes in air pressure, and I don't understand the science of this enough to be able to explain it properly, but because of the changes in air pressure, when the plane goes up and then comes back down again, you can end up in the same way that you get like your ears pop when you're on a plane. You can also get digestive issues as a result. If you struggle with IBS, or if you've eaten anything that's quite high in fiber and that's going to produce a little bit of wind, what happens is that air in your gut expands, and you can end up with really bad bloating, trapped wind, digestive discomfort. So being aware of that is important. So where you can, minimizing fizzy drinks or having tonic water. Tonic water is one of the best fizzy drinks for trapped wind. The quinine in it is apparently very beneficial, according to some research. So a gin and tonic is a good option for a plane if you are going to have alcohol. But minimizing fizzy drinks where you can, minimizing where you have anything that's going to create gas. So things like Brussels sprouts, fibrous veg, etc. Being really careful with foods like that, and staying hydrated. You will also find, as a result of being on a plane, you will end up with some water retention. I was chatting to my mum about this a couple of months ago when she went on holiday, and she said that when she came back, she was like, I'm stone heavier. I'm stone heavier than when I went away. And it wasn't, it was all water retention. It was all because she'd on the plane for 12 hours coming back from the Caribbean, and her body had just clung onto all this water because of the dehydration, the changes in pressure, etc. Her body had responded by just hanging on to water. So you might end up feeling a bit watery, a little bit You might have like sort of swollen ankles, or potentially water retention around your midriff. Even in your face, when I go on planes, my face gets really puffy, and I think it's the water retention. So being really mindful of that and aware that that might happen, and staying hydrated to try and mitigate that, because the more hydrated we are, the better we minimize water retention. And also move around the plane. So obviously there's the whole risk of DVTs, etc., if you say sat down on a plane, which is true, but also from a general well-being and health perspective, try and move around where you can and where it's possible. You know, when you do get up to go to the toilet, maybe walk up and down the aisles a couple of times. I even when I travel, I tend to, like, if I go to the toilet, I'll walk around the galley a little bit and just try and move my feet around a bit more. If you can, if you're on an aisle seat or something, stretching out your legs a little bit, doing a little bit of stretching in the aisles, etc., moving around will help with that digestive discomfort. It will help minimize water retention. It will just help you feel a bit more sane. It's a really good practice to get into. So now we're on holiday, we're relaxing. This is the time to come back to those priorities and come back to them regularly. So in every interaction, every moment where you're sitting there going, oh, I don't know what to do, what should I do? Ask yourself, what's my priority here? You're out for a meal with your partner. You might want to ask yourself, is my priority to have that sick cocktail? Or is it to spend quality time with my partner? No, it's spend quality time with my partner. Okay, well, I'm going to prioritize that. Maybe you're out for a meal and there's two options on the menu and you want to go for the more decadent one. Ask yourself, do I really want that? Am I really going to enjoy that? Is my priority to really enjoy that food option? Am I really excited to try it? If the answer is yes, then have it and enjoy it. But constantly check in with yourself. Make sure that you are always challenging yourself to check in. Am I doing this for the right reasons? Am I having this because I want it, or am I having it because I feel like I should, because I'm on holiday? Because I definitely, when I was away with my family a couple of months ago, I definitely noticed this, where we'd be out and there'd be this kind of narrative of, well, we're on holiday, so I'll have a glass of wine at 2 p.m. And actually, did I really want that? I don't know. So it's about checking in with yourself and constantly asking, am I enjoying myself? Am I making choices that I'm going to regret? Or am I making choices that align with my priorities? And really importantly, what will I remember? So this is a really good exercise. The what will I remember exercise is one that I would suggest using across the board, but with holiday, that's really, really powerful. You're out for a meal and you're looking at the menu and you're out with your family and you're having a great time, and you have two options. There's a burger or there's a salad. If you ordered that salad, challenge yourself. Will my overriding memory of this meal be the fact that so-and-so had the burger and it looked amazing? Because if that's the case, then order the burger. But if you will have that burger and actually you're probably going to forget about it, you're really enjoying the time with your family, you don't particularly want it, but you're having it because you're on holiday, then don't order the burger, because that's not the thing you're going to remember. You're going to remember spending your time with your family. I think always asking yourself, what's the reason that I'm here? What am I going to remember? Why am I doing this? It is so, so, so important. And now a few tips around different elements of the holiday. So first of all, food. You don't need to track your food when you're on holiday. You can if you want to. I don't encourage it. I don't particularly think it's helpful. I will have sometimes personally, if I'm down in Cornwall and I'm there for a couple of weeks, maybe over the summer, and kind of working and then doing weekends, I will track my food, because essentially I'm treating it like a normal week. I'm just somewhere else. But when I'm away, when I'm abroad, when I'm in a hotel, I won't normally track my food. And I would suggest that most clients don't, because actually it's a good opportunity to practice being sensible around food without tracking. For a lot of people, calorie tracking is a security blanket, it's a bit of a crutch. It's a way to feel like you're in control of yourself around food, because you have that barrier between eating and you, where you can kind of stop yourself. You have that thing that makes you think more carefully about what you're eating, which is great. And that's one of the reasons that we use it, right? That's one of the real benefits of MyFitnessPal. But it's important to remember that it's a tool, it's not a lifestyle choice. It is not something you're going to be doing when you're 90. And we want to get everybody on the program to a point where they cannot track their calories. And that's a really important goal. So spending a bit of time around food, but not tracking it, is a really good thing to do. It's also important to be sensible. And I think this is a mantra that you should kind of take across the board when you're on holiday. Just be sensible. Just be a grown-up about it. You don't need to go nuts just because you're on holiday. And a big part of this being sensible is prioritize the meals you really want to enjoy. So is breakfast that big a deal to you? If you're, so let's say you're on holiday, this is an experience I had actually. You're on holiday, you're in a villa, and you're going out for meals in the evening, or having more indulgent meals, barbecues and stuff at home. You're having sort of nibbly bits for lunch, and then breakfast is kind of whatever. If that's the case, breakfast isn't that big a deal. Breakfast isn't the meal of the day. It's not the meal you really want to prioritize. So treat that like normal. Have your normal breakfast. Get yourself some yogurt and some fruit. You don't need to have, not every meal needs to be super, super indulgent. And always challenging yourself is this the meal I really want to go nuts on? Is this the meal that I really want to go all out on? A mantra that I had while I was away in March, and I was obviously I wasn't gaining weight, I was in the middle of a diet, I was with a diet break. The approach that I took was I prioritized my evening meal, and I enjoyed alcohol with that. I didn't have alcohol at lunchtime, and I prioritized having a more nutritious option. I would have a lighter option. I wouldn't go for the really, really heavy burgers or anything. I would have something a little bit lighter. But if I really fancied something, if I looked at the menu and thought, oh yeah, I could really use that, then I would have it, because I knew, coming back to that point, I knew I'd regret it if I didn't. But breakfast for me was pretty standard. I wouldn't go all out. I'd maybe have a pastry, but not every day. But I'd have something pretty normal. I'd have coffee, I'd have eggs, something quite simple, something like I'd normally have at home. And I'd keep it pretty basic because I wanted to prioritize the meals that meant the most to me. And then constantly checking in with yourself around food. And we talked about this in a previous webinar. I've spoken about it in a couple actually, on emotional eating, and the one I did at Christmas around checking in with yourself around food. But asking yourself, how hungry am I out of 10? And constantly, not constantly, but at points throughout a meal, asking yourself that question. You know, maybe you're eating something, a hotel buffet is a good example of this. You're eating something, you finish your plate, and you go around to go and get your next little go. Asking yourself, out of 10, how hungry am I now? Maybe it's a 5, and you think, actually, I'll have something else. And you come back and sit down, you finish it, and then you get to an 8 out of 10. At that point, you probably don't need to have anything else. If you eat anything else, you're probably going to get yourself to the point of being uncomfortably full. So maybe going to get something little that you really fancy instead would be the better option. So using this tool of how hungry am I out of 10 is a really, really useful way to get comfortable with your own hunger cues. And then I think, again, this links back to what are your priorities? Asking yourself, am I really tasting this? It's very easy when you're on holiday to graze. How often have we done it when we're out for a meal and there's a bread basket on the table and suddenly you look down, you realize you've eaten 2 bread rolls, but you haven't really thought about it. It's because you were hungry and you were chatting to somebody and suddenly you've eaten a load of bread. So asking yourself, am I really tasting this? Am I really experiencing this food? And am I really enjoying it? Am I eating this because it's there and I'm at an all-inclusive and it's easy to have it? Or am I actually enjoying it? It's very easy when you've been dieting and when you have had slightly access to food to just eat food because it's there, because you can, but always coming back to the point that food should be enjoyable and it should be fuel. If you don't need it for fuel and it's not something you're enjoying, then you don't need to eat it. And I think keeping that in mind is really important. Sticking to the basics is something I would suggest across the board. So making sure you're getting a serving of protein with each meal. You don't just track your protein, but thinking about getting a portion of protein the size of your palm with each meal is a really, really good practice. In fact, when I was on holiday with my parents a few weeks ago, we, at breakfast, my mom got to mid-morning and my mom was like, feeling really hungry. I'm absolutely starving. And I said to her, well, She didn't have anything with protein in for breakfast. She had some avocado on toast, but that was it. And I was like, maybe tomorrow get an egg with that, or get some smoked fish or something with that, just to boost up the protein content. And she did. And the next day, she didn't feel hungry until lunchtime. Making sure that you're getting a serving of protein with each meal will help you to feel fuller, which will mean you're less likely to overeat on the things you don't particularly want to overeat on. It means you can prioritize the foods you do want to enjoy. And that protein doesn't have to be whey protein or a protein bar or chicken. It can be a really nice piece of cooked fish. It can be an omelette with breakfast. It can be red meat. It can be whatever you want it to be. It can be some yogurt. It doesn't need to be the kind of lean protein sources that we potentially prioritize more when we're dieting. It can be a little bit more indulgent, but making sure you're getting that protein with each meal, at least 3 servings a day, ideally 4, is really important. And also making sure you're getting enough fruit and veg. So one of the things that I see quite a lot with people when they go on holiday is they will stop eating a load of fruit and veg because the other food's more delicious. They can have have a glass of wine instead. They'll maybe not have as much fruit in their breakfast, etc. And they'll come back from holiday and they'll get sick immediately. And I don't know if there's a correlation, but I do tend to see that people who don't prioritize fruit and veg when they're on holiday tend to get sicker when they come home. So make sure you get enough fruit and veg. You don't need to have loads. When you're on holiday, there'll be loads of interesting fruits and veg. You can have smoothies. There'll be really interesting ways to enjoy that. So make sure you do. Obviously, also be safe with it. So obviously, if you're away somewhere and they might like wash the veg in water that will make you sick, make sure it's cooked veg. Be sensible with it in that sense, but also enjoy it. And then alcohol. So this is a really tricky one because you guys all know that I enjoy a drink. I like alcohol. I'm not one of these fitness coaches who preaches, being teetotal at all. I do enjoy a drink. I do drink a lot less than I used to, but I do enjoy a drink. That said, it can't be denied that alcohol has literally 0 health benefits. Apart from being a very good way to sterilize things, it has literally 0 health benefits. So when you're away, enjoy a drink, enjoy a cocktail. I'd be lying if I said that when I was on holiday I didn't drink. I did happy hour every day. Enjoy a drink, enjoy some alcohol. But again, just come back to that question of, am I really enjoying this? Is this one of my priorities? So having a drink is absolutely fine. But if that alcohol isn't adding to your experience, have a think about whether it's the right thing to do. So a good example of this, when you're at an all-inclusive and they've got like a swim up bar and there's cocktails whenever you want them, just because it's always there doesn't mean you always need to have alcohol. You can have a soft drink. It's absolutely fine. Make sure the alcohol is adding to your experience on holiday and not taking away from it. And be mindful about the hangover. Be mindful that when we're hungover, we do make poorer food choices, and it can hinder, progress. And when you're on holiday, obviously you're not trying to drop body fat. Nobody while we're away is looking to lose weight. We're looking just to enjoy ourselves and to minimize any weight gain we may see as a result. But just be sensible with alcohol because it can have it can damage your experience when you're on holiday, put it that way. Next up, exercise. Should I exercise? I get this question a lot, actually. It comes up on social media. I've spoken to family about this as well. Like, should I go to the gym when I'm on holiday? Ultimately, it's up to you. Some people, I would say, don't exercise when you're on holiday because actually the break will do you good. But I know that exercise is about so much more than burning calories. And I think that's really important. In general, we know that exercise actually burns minimal calories in comparison to going for a walk, moving your hands when you talk, etc. It's that non-exercise activity that has the biggest impact on energy expenditure. But actually, exercising when you're on holiday can be a good thing to do. So think about if it will make you feel better. Think about if you will feel better having moved around, not from a I'll feel less guilty perspective, but from a I will feel the endorphin rush. I will feel more relaxed. I will sleep better. It will help with the fact that I'm drinking a bit more and it might help my hangover. All of those things are things to bear in mind. If it's a beach holiday, whatever you do, prioritize movement. Essentially, you're sitting down on a sun lounger for 14 hours a day. That's a bit of an exaggeration, for 8 hours a day. So make sure you prioritize movement. Interestingly, when I was on holiday in March, I actually did more steps than I expect. I think I did about 12,000 steps a day, just from walking around the resort, walking to the restaurants. I would take myself off a little walk down the beach. I was actually moving around quite a bit. So try and prioritize going for a walk down the beach, or maybe it's going to the gym for 30 minutes and doing a quick workout in the morning, something that I did while I was away a couple of times, just because I quite enjoyed the wake up and it was quiet and it was air conditioned and it kind of got me moving again before we started the day. Maybe it's going for a swim and really enjoying a swim and taking advantage of spending time in the pool. It's not going to be an intense workout, but swimming up and down is movement. Maybe it's water sports. Don't underestimate the energy you can use water skiing or windsurfing or whatever it might be. Water sports would be a great example, but try and prioritize moving. Obviously, we want to relax. We want to read our books. We want to chill out on a sun lounger and get a tan, but also we want to move around and do things. And it's really important from a health perspective to do that. And if it's a more active holiday, don't overestimate how much activity you're doing. This is something that I see quite a lot when people go on like sightseeing holidays. And they'll be walking around a lot, and then they'll come home and they'll have gained a bit of body fat, and they'll be like, well, yes, I did eat more than I should have, but I was moving around a lot. Don't overestimate the amount of activity you're doing. The same rules, the same guidelines apply whether you are on an active holiday or a beach holiday. Being sensible around food is important. Just because you're walking around a little bit and sightseeing doesn't mean that you can say screw it and eat whatever you want and expect to maintain the progress that you've made. And then finally, once you're home, no one wants to think about this when they go away, but it's a really important thing to do in order to make sure that you don't sort of screw up all the good work you've done when you get back, because it's very easy to do. First of all, don't let the jet lag win. The worst thing you can do when you're jet lagged is go to sleep on your old time zone. So if you have jet lag, try and stay awake for as long as possible and get yourself back on the normal time zone. This will help in terms of getting you back into your old sleep patterns. And we all know that sleep is fundamental to food choices, to progress with fat loss, to general health and well-being and mental cognition, all of those things. So don't let the jet lag win. Try and get yourself as best you can back on your old time zone as soon as possible. The general guideline that I've heard is it takes, and it's from experience, it's pretty accurate, it takes about an hour a day. So if you're somewhere that is a 6-hour time difference, in 6 days you'll be back on your old time zone. So each day it gets a bit easier. So working through that, but don't let it win. Don't let it win. I'd make sure you avoid the anticlimax. I found this when I came back in March. I had this massive anticlimax. I looked forward to this holiday for like 3 years, and then suddenly it was over and it was like, now what? And it was quite difficult. It was genuinely really hard. So making sure you set yourself something new, whether that's a holiday you're going to go on in a few months' time, whether that's a new goal, whether that's something else you're going to work towards. For me, it was a very exciting business goal coming up in a few months. But setting yourself that new goal or that new thing that you've got to look forward to, and a new milestone to get to, rather than just coming back from holiday and getting straight back to work. Get yourself organized with food. So don't come back from holiday and do what we all do and then order a takeaway and then order another one the next day, and the holiday kind of drags on and on and on. Try and get yourself organized with food. There's nothing wrong with coming back from holiday and getting yourself a takeaway, but make sure you've also got a Tesco shop booked, or you've got some stuff in the freezer you can get out. Make sure that you get yourself organized with food so you don't end up kind of having the holiday drag on and on, but where it's not really very good. Those takeaways you get when you come back from holiday, you don't really enjoy them. It's more that you're just too lazy or too disorganized to get yourself ready to get back into the swing of things. So try and get ahead of the game and get organized with food. Whenever I'm away, I always book a Tesco shop while I'm away. I normally finish it when I'm in the airport, so that I know that the next day when I get home or whatever, it's there and it's ready. Don't wait until Monday to get back onto it. One thing that I see a lot of people do when I chat to them on social media about this is they'll come back from holiday on a Friday or a Thursday and they'll say, well, the week's pretty much done, so I'm just going to screw it until Monday. You have spent a holiday trying to be sensible, right? Trying to not to minimize any impact that it might have. And then suddenly you're back from holiday and you're like, oh, screw it, I'll wait till Monday. Just try and ease yourself back in gently. Ease yourself into it slowly. Don't go straight back in, right, I'm back now, back to the gym, back to tracking my calories. But maybe just when you're back, try and have a normal nutritious meal. And then maybe get yourself to the gym the next day at some point and do a little mini workout, nothing crazy, but just ease yourself back in. Maybe the next day, start tracking your food. Ease yourself back in gently, but don't just wait until Monday. And accept that you will feel a bit meh. You'll feel a bit meh. It's kind of normal when you get back from holiday. There aren't many people I know, some people say they do, but I don't believe them, who come back from holiday and like, yeah, I'm back, I'm excited, this is great. We'd all rather be on holiday than be in our normal lives. That's pretty standard. But if you're feeling that bit when you come back from holiday, challenge it. Challenge why you're feeling like that. Is it because you hate your job? Is it because actually you really enjoyed that bit of downtime with your partner? Is it because you really enjoyed spending a bit of quality time away from work? Whatever it is that you identify as the real reason why you're feeling a little bit not great about being home, try and figure out a way that you can build that into your daily life. So maybe while you were away, you realize that you actually really enjoy spending quality time with your partner without any distractions. So maybe you make it a priority that once a month you go away for a night together and have a bit of quality time, just the two of you. Maybe you decide to do a weekly date night where you put your phones away and just talk to each other. Maybe you realize that you maybe you really enjoy having a bit of downtime and reading a book. So why not find some time to read a book on a Sunday afternoon? It's finding those little things and those reasons why you feel so crappy about being home and using that to help you. So to summarize, if you're going on holiday, you don't have to take this approach. You don't have to take the approach that says, I'm going to be super, super sensible and I'm going to try my best to maintain my progress at all costs. This approach that I've outlined here is for people who are thinking, I'm going on holiday, I've made a lot of progress, I don't want to completely undo it, I want to enjoy myself, but I want to do that in a sensible way. You absolutely can take the view that I'm on holiday, I'm going to enjoy it, I accept that I will probably gain a little bit of body fat, maybe quite a bit of body fat by doing that, but I'm cool with that. And you can absolutely take that approach. And I've taken that approach myself a number of times on holiday, and it's fine because we know that dieting will always be there. We can always come back to a diet. We can always go back into a dieting phase. But for some people, and I know a lot of you guys that I've spoken to, you want to go on holiday, you want to enjoy it, but you also don't want to take things further than they need to in terms of any kind of negative impact on progress while you're there. I will caveat all of this by saying that if you take a step back from tracking your food, are eating a bit more indulgently, are drinking some alcohol, and are moving your body less, you probably will gain a little bit of body fat. And there is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Maintenance weight and scale weight goes up and down anyway. You may gain a little bit of body fat, but ultimately coming back to that question and really focusing on that question of what is my priority? What matters to me? If the priority is maintaining your body composition at all costs, then we'll come up with a plan that does that. But if your priority is somewhere around balancing all of them and trying to minimize the impact on your body composition whilst enjoying really good food and time with your family and a few drinks, then this balanced approach and this approach I outlined here is the right one for you. So that has been quite a mammoth webinar. I think it's my longest one yet. Hopefully that's been helpful. Obviously, if you guys have any questions on it, just let me know. We can chat about them, drop them in the Facebook group, send them over to me, etc. But hopefully this has been useful. Hopefully this has given you some things to think about. And obviously I will work with each of you individually to come up with a plan when you do go on holiday, to make sure that we continue to maintain your progress and get you where you want to be ultimately. So yeah, I will leave that there. Hopefully that has been super helpful, but obviously if I can help with anything, please let me know. Have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, etc. And I will catch you all later.